שם מסכת המעשרות דף מ"ם בייז נשמת גיטה בסלום שחיים בישראל שחיים ביצחק יש כמינה בהשחי יסף ושלם היה רום ושלם נשמס נוסה בן יחיאל מלכי בן אפרים יהודה. So in the Mishnah Boisai in Mem Aleph from the base talks about the Kedusha of Eretz Yisrael and when is it considered that something grew in the Rishus of a Goy or not. What does the Mishnah say? Mishnah states, Alakei Asod Yai B'Suya Ad Sheloi Bo L'Oinus HaMaises Chayev Mishu Bo L'Oinus HaMaises Poter. So the determining factor, when is it considered that Bo Rishus Kedusha says Yisrael, so it has to be before the Goy buys it, right? Mishabol Onis HaMaises is potter. Why? Because if it grew in the Shus of the Yisrael, it's Chayiv. If it grew in the Shus of the Goy, it's potter. That's Shaitach in the Mishnah. And Afkamin, if I hold it, but the Raisa, the Kinyan Akim, the Yesh Kinyan, or not a Kinyan, but like upon what determines the Kedusha of this particular thing that grew in Eretz Yisrael, is it considered under the Shus of the Yisrael or under the Shus of the Goy, which is the Goy is part of the Yid is Chayiv. If I learn it said right, so if I learn it Rabbanon, Oinus HaMaises. Oinus HaMaises is the demarcation line. So I guess the Gemara want to use the same aspect. They want to use the same aspect when they get to the pages of Eretz Yisrael. What's going to be the halacha when they get to Shvius? So to Gemara, Tony Rabbi Yonason, on the top of the Yomid, Mem Beis on the base, Tony Rabbi Yonason, by Rabbi Yosi, Oime, Menayin, the Tvua, Shavia, Shlish, Lifnei Rosh Hashanah. How do I know that Tvua, which is Shlish, 1/3 ripe, Lifnei Rosh Hashanah? And Rosh Hashanah is the time of Shvius, in the 7th year, it was Noig Shvius, starts at Rosh Hashanah. Koinza Oisa B'Shvius. Then you have to be noyig in the Kedusha Shvius. How do I know it's what? Lifnei Rosh Hashanah. That's the Zman. Vashet HaPosik, V'safta Estuosa B'Shvius. Safta Estuosa B'Shvius, Ravina Ula B'Yishmoel B'Shem Reb Loza, Aisi B'Yonis and B'Yosi, B'Shittis Reb Akiva Rabbi. He holds like Reb Akiva. Was the Reb Akiva gesucht? Gemoid Reb Akiva Oma, Acha Shlish Horishoin At Mahalach. You go both to the Shlish Horishoin. Kain Reb Yosim, Reb Yosim, Reb Yosi Oma Acha Shlish Horishoin At Mahalach. What's meant? Zok the Plei Moshe Zok. Shavia Shlish Lifnei Rosh Hashanah. Which Rosh Hashanah? Rosh Hashanah of the 7th year, the Shemitah year. Shekanse Oisa, you're allowed to bring it in after Shvius, even though after Rosh Hashanah Shvius. But if it was a Shlish Lifnei Rosh Hashanah, so it's not considered that it grew in Shvius. Talmud Loima. Asafta Estuosa by Shvius. Said the Chaposik in the Torah, Sheish Shonim Tizeh Satzecho, Asafta Estuosa by Shvius. What does it mean by Shvius? Dr. Plei Moshe. Saftas to us the common the climate. The Dorish Saftas to us the crow the Basay, because this first pasuk. Take a look at the psukim on the Torah. Sheishon Tizes Sech of Saftas to us. That's one pasuk. Nach that's pasuk Chav Gimel Yud. Nach dem Sheit nach pasuk Chav Hey Gimel Sheishon Tizes Sadech of Sheishon Tiz Makamecha Saftas to us. What's meta? The Ashnig Marazai. Safta is to us the crowd the Basay by Shvius Tishmitana. The Pomer of Safta is to Ashana She'ovra Af B'Shvius. Even though something grew before Shvius, the Safta is to us you're allowed to be massive in Shvius. Why? Because something's got different pay Shvius. If it was Shlish B'Fnei Rosh Hashanah before the Rosh Hashanah Shvius, it's mutter. Mid like Sib B'Shvius Tishmitana Udiyal. Kemoid Reb Akiva Omer Acha Shlish Harishin At HaHelach, Ulefikach Poter, because you go both to the Shlish Harishin. So what does that mean? Like the Plei Moshe, Poter Es Afat Sefes Shebeshus HaYisrael. what grew afterwards in the shus of a Yisrael. If it's the shus of a goy, there's no shvius. But if it grew in the shus of Yisrael, mishum shashlish harishoin ovia biyad hagoy. If the first shlish was in the yad of a goy, zog the Pnei Moshe, there's no din of pay shvius. Avia shlish harishoin ovia biyad hagoy. So now that because he's troubled by this Pnei Moshe, what's the thing the dinim of shvius with the dinim of Eretz Yisrael, but in the Kedusha Eretz Yisrael, so he's saying like this: if it grew 1/3 biyad hagoy, kainami. So now what grows afterwards, it's part of shvius. Kainami to be honest, and Oma af kan lin shvius. Same the halacha, just like I say, doesn't have the Kedusha of Eretz Yisrael, but negated the peiros and tuvas and maises. Who adim negated the shvius 1/3 before shvius is not considered that it has Kedusha shvius. Shach shishishna atam halakid the fishes. Sagt mir Folder. Lifnei Rosh Hashanah shel Shvius. She'at lo yochel lekonza b'Shvius. You're permitted to take it now after Shvius, even though Shvius, how you allowed to work in the field? How you allowed to be machtasid? Half of Pishin Nigmer Shvius. Shnei hashlishim ha'achroinim. 2/3 is in Shvius. Ein nesarim mishum what? So now the Folder is saying we're talking about Tzvichim. Tzvicha Shvius. Elamuta lekonza. What is considered Tzvicha Shvius? Tzvicha Shvius is kedamasik observer. We'll soon see. Tzviach is something which grew by itself. What's that? It grew by itself. Take a look here, Rabbi Say, note 10. It has a very nice akdama here. And what is tzvicha? Note 10, he says like this: Tzvichim heim tzemochim shegodlim aleim. These are things that grow by themselves. B'shana hashvius, in the year of shvius. Mizera, how does it grow? Mizera, from the seed, shenafel oris b'shnas hakotzah shel shana hashishis. This is things that fell into the ground. There's a zroim when you make the tzir, so seeds fall on the 6th year when you're cutting it, because you're not like cutting a shvius. It fell out on the 6th year into the ground, and now it grows by itself. Because it fell on the 6th year, so there's no issa done here with the zroim, but nonetheless, it's also bachila. Now, machlokes tanoim, mahu mekoir umahusoi. What is the mahus? What is the meaning of this shvius? What kind of din does it has? So the machlokes is the daser bekiva in the Torah Kohanim. This is minatayr. Shvichim is also minatayr. Often a passing in the Torah. Shenema hein lo nizar v'lo nosav the Klal Yisrael effect akasha. We didn't plant and we didn't cut. We didn't take in the tour b'shnas shvius. So hein lo chayra hoyisach lichtav lahaske es yisuf. What does that have to say? Lo nizar v'lo nosav. If you're not allowed to plant, automatically you can't make a seed if you didn't make a ziyah. Niza, we understand. Didn't plant. Just say we didn't take anything in. We didn't cut anything. How were we going to have to eat on the 8th year? So we about it says niza. Look, the akocha ba akosalam. They should also lesif afilu mashugoda me'elav. There's an issa of ziyah, and fazich do an issa if an issa, even though you didn't plant it, if it grows by itself, which is considered the tzviah, that grows by itself. So you see that tzviach is also in minatayr. Should also lesif afilu mashugoda me'elav b'shnas hashvius. Umikan shasvichim masur b'achila. So now you see that you're not allowed to take it in. So if you're not allowed to take it in, the isif and shvius on the tzvichim that goes by itself. That's the drash of Rabbi Kiva. The Chachamim say no, they don't agree with this drasha, and they say Svichim is Mutarim Svich is Mutim. That's how we pass it. I'm passing Svich is Mutim. Elo Gzeiru Midrabanon. It's a Drabanon. Shigedulim Ilu Yasurim, even though it grew by itself, because people are Shalayelach Odom V'Yizah Trua V'Yirokas B'Seisa. A person will go and he will plant. And he'll plant vegetables and food without people seeing it. So how did this get to grow? What happened over here? How did this grow? You're not allowed to plant. People will say, did you show him? This is happened by itself. It grew by itself from the 6th year. So according to the Chachamim, it's also midrabanon to do this, to use this tzvicha. Okay. And this steht in the Torah, so the Ramban learns here, He brings here the Ramban in Pashas Bahab, Pashas Chofei. Osher the Fire Shabraisis, Ashun Yitois Kahana, being Azel, the fish hem Bituis. You can make a mistake here, Dr. Ramban. Hein loy nizar, loy nesab, as to say, it means Zoyre Ma Oislim. Rabbi Kiva, Dr. Kiva, and Tois Kahanim, Mekan, Samchu, the Svichim, Shem, Asurim, Beshvias. Because loy nesab is the Shvias long. Even though loy nizar, but we're not allowed to take it in. That's the Issa of Svichim. We Ishin and Lona Zubi, Gemara, Pekim, Shanagim, Psachim, Getanim, Betois Kahanim, Chomim, Moizmim, Ein Svichim, Asurim, B'Devitayim, B'Devitayim. The Chomim argue on this, and they say, no, it's only B'Devitayim. But Kiva says the rice. You can't love them and handle nizar ines. Loite chachamim. This is what it's referring to. What does it mean? Like nizar ines. Mashra klo that it is a deraisa. Amata lonu al tizu ma onu oisi machnisin l'kiyim. Amata lonu berei. So I did this beer. Min beer be'elach al ken harei diva chachamim einis svicham el. The be'yam I like nizar ines. So what do they do with the tika boss? They say something else. Mishvayas, but that goes into the dinam of the beer. Al Kaponim, go back now to the Menaful. Look at the Menaful does it. Talmud Loime, Vesafta Estuosa Bashvis. Hochi Ksiv Kro. Shei Shonim Tiza Sotcha. Esh the Pasuk says, 6 years he's out of plant. Vesafta Estuosa. Ubashana Shviz Sotcha Lo Siza. You can't plant. But the Shina Mida Samach Ubashviz Lo Safta. Shebashana Hashish Vov Moisev Alin Yerishan Loime. Sha'af Masha God Ubashviz Vesafta. You allowed to take it in? Vakocha, Kai Gavna Mighty, Dim Loikain Loihoya Mate Mash God the Bishviz, Alamai goes by itself, you allowed to bring it in, and that's the shitta of the Chachamim. It's the concept of Bishviz, Tamla Visaftis, we also shedding more about Shviz, you allowed to take it in Shviz, because it's only Svichim, and Svichim Zanin Mutter. So I'm saying to the Rashtarilla, Shekoini Saisa Bishviz, Vachayavas B'maisis, Vein a hefke kedin kotzer shashvias doesn't have a din of hefke. Vein boy kedusha shvias. Why? Because it grew in the 6th year. So one shlish. Rabbi Kiva, and according to Rabbi Kiva, there's no issa of svichim, and there's no din of maisis. So it has din as it grew in the 6th year. But after stavasa b'shana shvias, the kivim the smichi kroi hochi mash. These two psukim are next to each other. Tash nigmarazay. The b'shvias gufa b'safta. You're allowed to take it in the 6th year. Ein boy din hefke kegodle b'shvias. The lichne rachmona shana shabosim b'shas hashvias yilods. But I forgot to call him fash bei shlish. How do I know the shlish? We say in the pasuk shlish. So the rabbanon hachi kimlu the two halacha shlish. This is the rabbanon they have a kimlu. Vice versa is the halacha l'moshe Sinai or whatever. They had a kabbalah. Ubishalmi ubirishashana they have a pasuk for this that the shlish. You go boss to the shlish. Acha shlish harishim mishim hochi les beitin shvius no shvius. So who are them when you get the kedushas Eretz Yisrael? We see that anything that grew b'shus of one shlish, it was a shus of a guy. It's potter has no din of trumas and maises. If it wasn't a shus of Yisrael, then it's chayv. This is the pshat in the Mishnah. It's the more medamed who are then the zel bazach and when you get to shvius. So to the more weiter. Ravina Ula by Bishmol B'Shem Reb Loza. Zuk Reb Loza Azoi. I see the Reb Yonason by Yosi. This is Reb Yonason by Yosi that says you go boss to 1/3. B'Shittis Reb Kiva Rabba. Goes with the Shittis Reb Kiva. They hold that the Svichim as also. Gemoyde Reb Kiva Oma Acha Shlish Harisha Not Mahalach. Just like Reb Kiva says you go boss to the first shlish and whatever it is at that time. If it's shishis, then that's happening in Shvius, and if it's in Bishus Hagoy, then it's part of the Trumas and Maises. Kain Reb Yonason by Yosi, Oy Ma'ach Shlish Harisha Not Mahalach. When you get to Shvius, it's always in. Omer Reb Zira, Rabbina, Tatin, Milan, Atin, Omrin. You tell me two things. One, when you get to the dinner of Maises, one, when you get to Shvius, the Inem Pligim. And one is Soisa, the other one. Hador Hador. These two members are Soisa, one on each other. Hoche Atin Moidin. Moidin means here, he said here, Afu Chacham Lo Chayvu. The Chomim are not Machayev. What grows afterwards, because they have a big problem here. What happens, let's say, in the 6th year, was not Shvius. Good. That grew in the 6th year. It's not Shvius. But now you have it the 7th. It goes later. Why should that be potter? What goes now is growing in Shvius. So he told me, you're not Chayev on what grows later. Now what grows later has a din l'shova. Sheni, oni, just like he said before, that if it grew, the first shlish, in the second year, so it's a din for Ma'aser Sheni. If it goes in the third year, it's a din for Ma'aser Oni. So you tell me it goes according to the first lish. And here you tell me you have to go here with the shitza of Akiva. So you tell me you don't go what's the first lish. So he says it's a stira minei bay. Either I say Rabbi Yonis and Rabbi Yosef b'shitza of Akiva Rabbi. K'moed Rabbi Akiva Oma b'issa svichen toira. Can Rabbi Yonis Rabbi Yosef oisa b'issa svichen toira. Just like he says, but issa of svichem shu din, it should be the same halacha b'negea to the din of maises. So what's made? Look, that's like the Pnei Moshe. In the pligi hadol hadol. These two members are sois one another. The hoche aten omrim the af lo ma'ashu chayvu chachamim by tesefes. This which the chachamim chayvu on the tesefes, what grows afterwards. You don't say it's potter because what grew in one shlish is good, but what grows after that now is growing big kedushas etzisol. So lefi cheshbon, and the Rabbanan go according to the Rebbe. The Rebbe says lefi cheshbon, what grew one shlish before. Let's say b'shus goy, it's like a potter, but it goes now in b'shus yisol. That part that grows b'shus yisol, this is chayiv b'tesefes. Mikom mokoim the English nasa chayiv holchen onu acha shona she'ovra she'godel boy hashlish harishon. Im kein my hide coming at an hoche buzlus by shvius. The ice in the Rabbi Yonason gets shit to the Kiver Aboy. After the chachamim holchen onu le'inyin hashona acha shlish harishon. We go according to the first third which grew. Behind in Nami the Rabbi Yonason, the Bina Hashona who the Kama was the Chacham the Rabbi Kiva. So why don't you hear you say that the Sefer should be also? Either I said Rabbi Yonason claim it. Boy, either Rabbi Yonason can be Kiva Rabbi. If Rabbi Yonason go look to the Kiva, the Rabbi who says the Svichim is also in HaTorah. In Cain, how you learn in Lachma Kam B'Shviyas. Here in Shviyas, you should be machmer just like you machmer and Trumas and Maises on the Sefers would grow should be also. Mishum the Hatasefes, what grows after the first shlish, it's still growing. So what's the din? Svicha shvi is hen, and it has din of svicha. But Rabbi Kiva and Abba is really the svicha b'shvicha is soon minat toira. And leinizav leinasav the svicha is also minat toira. If it's also minat toira, so the fact that it grew 1/3 grew in the 6th year, why is that part of the svicha of the 7th year? It's you should go to fi cheshbon, and whatever grows later should have to zayin also. Because the yom v'hedi b'toyis kalanim. Basically, the Shviz, the Bekiv is the one that says Shvichim and Osim and Atoyra. So Dav Zayin Osa, the what grows afterwards. Havi Epoch Shein. Zok the Menafulda. Cain, the narrow lines in the middle. Cain Rabbi Yonis and Rabbi Yossi Yomer. The Yilid Rabbanon, according to Rabbanon, Shnei Shlishim Hanig Morim B'Shviz, Yesh Behem Din Shviz. Why? Because they say you go Basawat Lefi Cheshbon. Whatever grows later, it's not off the hook. You have to be done that lefi cheshbon. Whatever grows b'shas iser, it's taka osir. K'moishe chayvin rabbanon, just like the rabbanon who shit is Rebbe, and Rebbe said you go lefi cheshbon. Whatever grows after the zman is taka osir because now it grew b'shas yisrael. The ma'aseh shavi shlish lifnei goy hochi nami mechayv b'shviz. Punkt azay yechayv by the Shnei Shlishim Achron, you go to Cheshbon, and now it's B'Shus Yisrael, you have to know who the Mishri is. Shim Hoye Shnei. In case Shnei Shlishim Achron do 2/3 that grew later, and that's now growing in Shviyas, so Chlaisam Kedin Shon Shishas. You have to give Maisa like the 6th year. Vehechi Din Shviyas Noibem. How could that have been if the 2/3 grew already? He's talking about now 2/3 grew in 6th year. So it should be off the hook. Those are Rabbanon Mikol v'Kol Bosa Hashona Shegodla Hashnei Shlishim. You go according to whatever year it was in the 2/3. Lefika Aised Dafke Kebekiva. In Kain Shnei Dvorim Pliga Adodi. These two things, the din of growing in Eretz Yisrael, Tachas Rishus Yisrael, or Tachas Rishus of the Goy. You say go lefi cheshbon, and here by Shviz you don't say goes lefi cheshbon. You say everything is mutter. Either I say Kiva calls them Masir of Zira. In Bonam Lakaim Dibra Belezed Doma I say Rabbi Yonason Kiva. You want to make him that he should come out like a Kiva who holds that Svichon and Osim HaTorah. Linyan is a Svichon Amra. Kamoide Omer Rabbi Kiva Omer is a Svichon Torah. Just like Rabbi Kiva is the one that says he argues in the Chachamim. Heino Nizavle Nesav is going to tell me that Svichon and Osim HaTorah. Asurim asvichim b'achilu b'shviyas. Ubo akostav latiron. The Torah says, Imo v'yishlish lifnei Rosh Hashanah. This pasuk, the pasuk says, "Safta is to v'asa b'shviyas," that you're permitted to take it in the shviyas. Why? Because Dashan the Gemara 1/3 grew in shishas. So you tell me 1/3 grew in shishas is mutter. The Rabbanan ain't svichim asurim in Torah. Elamai has to go to Rebbe Kiva. If the pasuk is talking about svichim, middle sign that's going according to Rebbe Kiva, whole svichim is also in Torah. By bazoi, svichim is also in Torah. Beheich ata korah lahata beim boyu hashlish. You're telling me that 1/3 grew beheter? That's mutter. That's not true. You go to Ficheshbin, and whatever grows after the third has to be also. I feel lo yavi shlish mutarim be'achila min Torah. Can't go like the Rabbanan. The Rabbanan hold that it's mutter min Torah without the shlish. Elamai, we're dealing with tzvichim. Tzvichim is like the Bekiva is also. Avada the Bekiva. Who's the one that said that tzvichim is also min Torah? V'ochi daich rebelose. Midah chalak rebelionis and shlish lepachas shlish. If you're making a differentiation between 1/3 and less than a third, the zeh l'shayich el b'tvuah. B'chol peiris shviyas nami. Going oisei shahochu behem acha hashroshe or peiris se'ilan acha chanota. Either got the b'shisha v'nilka to b'shviyas shehei muton l'konsum because it's 1/3 in the 6th year. V'lo yiyeh behem kedusha shviyas klal. So what are you dealing with? What do you need a positive for that for? Eloheinu tamed in oka dafka tvuah the isis svichin lo yiyeh behem l'bekim in ha-Torah. Can't go like the Chacham who says svichin is mutter min ha-Torah. You don't need a pasuk to tell me that it's mutter because it grew 1/3 in shishas. Elamai goes going to the Bekiva who said that tzvich is an osam in ha-Torah. Bekrok siv kerem nokat tvua afukilon is less by Mrs. Tzvichim. Boah kos latinim b'achila. Why did the Torah now say it's mutter b'achila? Because tzvichim be'etzem is osam in ha-Torah. Dim loy came in all lay dari b'tzvichim klau. Dim loy boya lahate lachnis in the bayis. Loy solim ezem minik hefker. Says the Rabbon. Okay, lefi divrei zira. Loy misaymin zokte b'divrei blaze k'moy de b'kiva omach shlish adishon elareish the milsa de blaze leban. So he's saying it is the Gemara didn't answer this question to make an afkaminah between shriyas and the din of payers which grow b'shus akar. Let's take a look at the Rasila. How's the Rasila line here? Acha shlish adishon, the right side, the middle of the column. Mishumochin less by din shriyas because you go both to the first shlish. Atin omer af chacham loy chayvik hilkoch. Motzi sav v'shaber yonis by v'yosi kerabon. Avagav the Rabbanon savi at the Sefes chayiv. The Rabbanon hold like Rebbe that whatever grows later is taka chayiv. The first growth is potter. Achayu v'kam eshodelu. Even though he says the chayiv that the Sefes is chayiv, v'imkein hach tvua k'shekonse b'shviyas achayu v'kam eshodelu v'chayiv is b'maises. V'ein boy kedusha shviyas that Torah ubir. What does it mean chayev? It's chayev in Trumas and Maises because it grew in the 6th year has the din of Trumas and Maises. Just like he says is the svichim min ha-Torah. Where did he say that? But the Torah is kayanim and peg mokashin hagu yalaf rebekiva mikra the hand loy niza v'loy nesa. Why does that say nesa? Nesa means it was growth without the zriyah. It's two things: loy niza v'loy nesa. Nesa even without the zriyah. Because it would only be shvich, would not be also. Would say loy niza fatih. Kain of yonis because shvich means there was no planting. So Elamai says loy niza. Loy nesa means that what the shvich is also min ha-Torah. That's the push the ibir from the pasuk. Kain of yonis by yonis. Claim the dog the sabbath the chikam of yonis libe the bekivu the kama. He's the one that says shvich is also the chayiv the amir abonon la'osid love kaminam kain sichon lefad the chinoket ba'ach. Braisa shlish legabe letovus bei isis svichim kama lebina shlish legabe chala the same din benegay to chala also you go but shlish adraba garin di lo pochus mishlishu michayla le chiv chala kama the godla achakar shedin basa kama you always go basa the first shlish the saber of kiva achar shlish rishon at mahalach kiva is also the one that says you go basa the first third. The gabe chala kachu pachas mishlish k'moy sham ma'aser shlish. V'chiheche the gabe sham ma'aser kol ma'ad goes about the shlish. Lish shadina lay ben lekul ben lechumra. That we say that the sefes is also because you go lefi chayshman like the bekiva. Create the gemara hachal in yechala kol ma'ad goes about the asavim avagad the pachas mishlish kaima. Who goyin shadina lay ben lekul ben lechumra. Can't go but two shehevi pochas mishlish. The fnei Rosh Hashanah is shviyas. Or mati goyin dilo kam shviyas. Ubechalose ain't by kedusha shvius, but fill the godly b'shvius to sefes. Whatever grows later after the first shlish, at the sefes should dinam bos going kama bein lekula and bein lechumen. Because that's what he says. The sefes is if you don't hold like Rebbe, so everything goes bust to the shlishin. If shlishin is potter, whatever grows afterwards is like kol hayotzim and hosas also when amut mut. In Canaan, my noka the yotzim and isiga betvur shlish b'shvius. And noka the legabe is svichim. The les bo is svichim. He says if I go like that, I have to say here he's going that there's always a svichim, and we're talking about him by challah. But via poches mishlish lifnei shvius, v'nechnas say shvius. Okay, this is more tomorrow. We'll see this. Morgen lernt man ja, was ist? Ja, ja, finished. Then wegen Jonah die Eimer. What? Maxim also. Maxim now? Oh, not better.
Why now?
Thursday.
Was?
Some do tomorrow. Most do today. Yes.
Let's go. Shmei Rabba. Kom nog eens, we kunnen het Mashiach. Ja, gaan we weg. Dan gaan we weer zo bij de man kunnen we meer mee. Shmei Rabba, de Bora, de Olam.